Good evening, dear friends. I welcome you all, especially Professor Dr. Rana Singh, today's resource person, and Professor Dr. Anil Mehta, Senior Vice President, Inspira Research Association, Dr. Ravi Kant, General Secretary, Inspira Research Association, and all well-wishers of Inspira on the first day of Inspira IRA's 7 days online workshop on art of working research paper and thesis from January 18 to 24, 2021. I am happy to inform you that participation in Inspira's academic programs, online, offline, as per past practice, in this workshop also, participation is from almost all over the country with overwhelming response. As many of you know, that during corona pandemic period, Inspira Research Association has contributed a lot for the academic enhancement of researchers, faculties, and students. Since 15th May 20, IRA has been organizing continuously online programs with several additional benefits as free online publications in e-conference proceedings, ISBN books, national and international journals. We have also provided opportunity to present papers to participate in question answer sessions with resource persons to publish their papers online free, etc. In the month of May 2020, IRA has organized two programs. One, national webinar on impact of COVID-19 on global economy on 15th May. Second, 3 days FDP MDP on research methodology, tools and techniques from 29th May to 31st May. In the month of June, we have organized two programs, live session on living a life of excellence on 19th June and 4 days FDP MDP on academic enhancement on research methodology from 26th June to 29th June 20. In the month of July, we have organized five online programs, 4 live sessions, and 7 days FDP MDP on life management and developing research skills from July 24 to July 30th, 2020. In the month of August, again we have organized 1 live session and 7 days hands-on workshop on statistical data analysis using SPSS from 24th August to 30th August 20. In the month of September, again we have organized 2 programs with 1 live session and 3 days international multidisciplinary conference on latest advancements and future trends in all subjects from 25th September to 27th September. In the month of November, 1 live session and second program, 7 days hands-on workshop on multivariate data analysis using SPSS from 18th November to 24th November 2020. In the month of December also, we have organized 2 programs, 1 day workshop on data analysis using Excel on 6th December and second, International Multidisciplinary Conference on Education, Social Sciences, Applied Sciences, and Technology from on December 23rd and 24th, 2020. In all the programs, resource persons are very renowned academicians of their field. All programs organized as yet during this period by Inspira IRA may be viewed anytime times on our YouTube channel. All these programs are available for public on our YouTube channel. Those who have not subscribed as yet to our channel are advised to subscribe it to view our forthcoming programs also. In this workshop also, Resource persons for all the 7 days are very, very renowned, learned, and experienced in their field. I hope you all would gain a lot from this workshop. Now, I invite Professor Dr. Anil Mehta, Senior Vice President, Inspira Research Association, to highlight about this workshop in brief. Professor Dr. Anil Mehta.
Sir, please unmute. Sir, please unmute. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Respected Professor S.S. Modi, President, IRA, respected Professor Rana, our today's resource person, Dr. Ravi Modi, Secretary General of IRA, and dear participants, a very warm welcome to everyone who is attending this very useful workshop, 7 days workshop. Professor S.S. Modi has given a detailed account what Inspira has done during last almost 9 to 10 months. I'm very happy that Inspira Research Association is getting overwhelming response in every workshop, in every seminar, and in every lecture which this wonderful association has organized from time to time. In fact, I'm finding here that many of our participants are very regularly participating in all the workshops that clearly reflect the kind of inputs that our participants are getting out of these all workshops. In this series, this 7-day online workshop on art of writing research papers and thesis is another addition. In fact, writing good research papers is the need of the hour. As we know that UGC has made it mandatory that if you want to submit your thesis, prior to that, you will have to write at least 2 research papers in a Scopus Index journal or in very prestigious journal besides attending conferences and seminar. But that's just one requirement for any academician or research scholar. Writing research paper is not a one-time or just one-shot activity. It will be an ongoing, continuing process. Yes, it is true that getting your articles and research papers published in a very prestigious journal is a tedious task, but only for those who are not very well acquainted with the research methodology, or they don't know how to write research papers in tune with the requirements for any good publication. I'm quite sure that after attending this 7 days workshop, all the participants will be getting a lot of inputs, and we are expecting that once the workshop is over, after that, you will be able to write some quality research papers. So we are very much confident that this workshop will be very successful in inspiring our participants to contribute research papers, and that will be a matter of great satisfaction for all the resource persons as well as the Inspira Research Association. I'm very happy to note that all the eminent experts who are very much experienced, highly experienced, and having authority in their respective areas are providing us lot of inputs for the participants. Professor Rana Singh is very actively associated with our association, and in fact, most of the time we make him as an opening batsman, because the kind of exposure, the kind of experience, and the kind of knowledge that he possesses, that is remarkable. In fact, every time whenever I hear Professor Rana, I myself get lot of inputs in spite of having so much experience, but listening Professor Rana Singh is always a treat for me. In fact, Professor Rana Singh is having a very vast exposure of research. In fact, he is an academic leader. He has been the Vice Chancellor of Sanskriti University and currently heading the position of CEO of the Sanskriti University. And besides that, having a very rich academic exposure in UAE and other countries. The other resource persons like Professor P. Malyadri and Professor Brajesh Avasthy, they are also having a very rich experience and continuously conducting a lot of workshops for the researchers and academicians. Besides that, Dr. Hitesh Parmar and Dhaval Mehta, they have conducted workshop for Inspira, and it was very well received by the participants. Professor Manvinder Singh Pava is a very bright scholar. Though he is a professor, he is very young, very enthusiastic, and having a very good command over various research tools. So in fact, the galaxy of experts will be addressing in this workshop. Now, it is up to us that how to make the best use of the expertise of all these resource persons. I request all the participants to ask questions to resolve their all the queries. And besides that, since topics have already been announced, so participants must do their homework well. Whatever questions and queries they are having, they must raise here and try to get maximum out of these resource persons. So with this expectations that it will be a very, very rich learning experience for all the participants. And once this workshop is over, then perhaps there will be a very significant change. That is, there will be a change in the entry behavior and the exit behavior of all the participants, and the outcome will be quality research paper. In fact, the IRA is already publishing good research journals, and you are getting regular information. I can assure you that if you write some quality research papers, then it can be published by IRA also. And besides that, there are a number of journals, reputed journals in your stream where you can regularly get your articles published. So without taking much of time now, I request Professor Rana for his opening batsmanship today. And I'm quite sure that Professor Rana will be enjoying with these participants by delivering his address as well as solving their queries. So over to Professor Rana for the first day. And I consider Professor Rana, it's an inaugural kind of, since it's a first day, so your address will be not only inaugural, but certainly it will set a trend, and certainly you will be motivating all the research scholars for very, very active participation. So I wish all the participants and as well as the IRA a grand success of this workshop. Over to Professor Rana. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mehta sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for such enlightening and heartfelt thoughts and views of yours. It was really very touching. Honorable SS Modi, sir, and Honorable Anil Mehta, sir, my esteemed Ravi Moti ji, other esteemed and respected academicians, researchers, and my dear learners. It's indeed a great pleasure, privilege, honor, and delight for me to be in front of you today once again. And it's a momentous feeling for me for getting to understand how Ravi Modi ji and SS Modi ji together are working towards creating and setting new benchmarks of excellence in the domain of research, research methodology, publications, conferences, seminars, and all other allied activities. Thank you so very much for all of you, for your commitment, sincerity, passion, and the drive, inner drive to focus on research and make India one of the best countries across the globe in terms of research productivity and research output. So a very warm good evening to each one of you. It was a really heart-touching feeling to talk about the art of writing research papers. Well, just before this event, which was going to start, we were discussing internally, and I was talking to Anil Mehta sir, and I said there was a WhatsApp remark which said and this was at least a couple of months back, we said we have not yet been able to find the vaccine for research. This is science. But without the vaccine, the hospitals are making bills in lakhs. That was an art. So that is how I will differentiate between the science and the art. And when we talk about research methodology, it is an organized science to focus on discovering undiscovered facts from different data sets available, already available, or if we collect the data and then we reach a particular outcome, make certain recommendations on the basis of the collected data after doing certain data analysis. So research methodology is an integrated science wherein we have two options. Either we study the already researched facts and figures and conclude towards a new research, or we focus on empirical research wherein we collect the data and we do the respective analysis and give our findings and recommendations for the larger interest of other researchers and readers and other stakeholders of the economy. But when we talk about the art of writing a research paper, it is entirely a different ballgame, and I'll talk about it today. Now, when we talk about writing a research paper, the first and the most important art of writing a research paper, it starts with the habit of reading. So when we talk about the habit of reading, it's very, very important. So now there are multiple aspects of the art of writing a research paper. Now, the first and the foremost important aspect is the art of developing a reading habit and a very strong reading habit. So when we talk about reading habit, reading various books, journals, magazines, periodicals, and all other respected materials from different sources. Now, when we talk about reading, it's highly recommended to read world-class research journals which enable us to get deep insights about a particular topic, and more so, we also get enlightened about the latest trends. So when we talk about the latest trends, it's important for us to understand what are the latest trends and what have been the latest research findings. So it's important to understand both of them. So the first art of writing a research paper is to develop the art of reading, particularly research journals. The second art which we need to generate is to have strong ID skills. So when we talk about strong ID skills, the first one is about internet skills. We need to be very strong how to find the right set of information from the internet. And in that case, we'll be talking about, so we also talk about how to find the right set of data information from the internet. And in that case, we as researchers, we should be able to use Google Advanced Search. I'm sure some of you are using, many of you are using, or most of you are using. But for those set of stakeholders who have not yet started using Google Advanced Search, I'll just share with you how Google Advanced Search helps us in getting the most relevant information in the shortest span of time. So when we talk about Google Advanced Search, let us understand how to find the best information from the internet. And we have to go to the URL google.com/advanced_search. I repeat once again, google.com/advanced_search. Now, when we do advanced_search, it's very important for us to understand that, okay, this is what we get in Google Advanced Search. So when we go to Google Advanced Search, we will have multiple sections. In the first section, it says all these words. The first row, it says all these words. So when we are searching for some research papers, we can write all these words there. Or in the second row, we can write the exact words. In the third row, we can write any of these words, as well as if we want to do the research and we write the first three and we have to exclude something. So we have to mention whatever we want to exclude. We have to put it in none of these words. So we can exclude that.
Sorry for interrupting, sir. Is your slide is moving or?
No, I have not yet started moving the slide. I thought let me talk about the art first and then I'll talk about the science.
Chat in chat box there are queries.
Okay, no, I'm yet to start. I thought let me talk about the art first before we start the science. Okay, we'll start now. So I'm sure. So Google Advanced Search, it helps us. Now, if we want to find what has been the corona related news from Germany. So there, when we come down, we can actually select using the drop-down menu, the specific country from which we are looking for the respective information. So in today's session, we'll be talking about how we are going to use research methodology so that we are able to produce world-class research papers. And when we talk about world-class research papers, it's important for us to understand how we are going to write. And the first important aspect is to understand that we are able to decide what is the right topic we are going to choose. And after having taken a decision about the topic, we need to understand what has been the latest research which has been done in India and abroad on that particular topic. So the first topic at our hand is to focus on taking a decision on the topic. And secondly, we talk about what has been the different research being done in India and abroad. So after we have taken a call on these two aspects, the topic and the various research findings being done in India and abroad. So in that case, we will be able to take the research forward. And now we have to focus on the various research methodology dimensions. Now, when we are writing a research paper, it's very important for us to be very explicit about our research methodology. So what is the research methodology which we have adopted to reach a particular research finding is very, very important. So we as researchers, it's important for us to have deep knowledge, skills, and competencies of conducting research and the modus operandi of conducting research. So deep knowledge about research methodology helps us in choosing the right approach towards conducting a research. I'll give you a small example so that we can understand. A doctor knows about hundreds of diseases and thousands of medicines. But when a patient comes, he just gives one or let's say 3-4 medicines for the patient. So it's important for us to understand that what is the best research tool for a particular topic. Should we conduct a primary research? Should we conduct a secondary research? Or should we have a blend of the two, and so on and so forth? So it's important for us to understand. So my humble recommendation to all my young researchers, please develop a strong reading habit of the latest materials in your domain, all the research journals of your domain, preferably Scopus Index journals, and also focus on having very strong know-how of using various spreadsheet softwares. So spreadsheet softwares help us in conducting the data analysis, presenting them in the best possible way, and giving the best solution to our research problems. So today's agenda is what should be the special focus when we talk about what is the art of writing research papers. When we are finding the art, we need to be strong in these following sciences. Research methodology. Now, empirical research is considered to be quite superior in our approach because we take the data from the direct stakeholders, analyze them, and give our research findings. So it's considered very, very important. And if we want to take multi-country, a global research, so suppose we want to conduct what has been the impact of a particular drug across the world. Suppose I develop a corona drug today, and I want to see how people are responding to it. In pharmacy, we study two terms: pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, and pharmacodynamics. So how drug is impacting the body and how body is responding to the drug. So imagine if we have found out a drug to treat corona. We wish to see how the patients in different countries are responding to it. So we want to send our research questionnaire to different countries. So in that case, web-based surveys play a very, very important role today. Now we talk about various statistical softwares which we have. So when we say the art of writing a good research paper, we need to have very strong art of handling the statistical softwares. We have multiple statistical softwares. We talk about Excel, we talk about SPSS, Systat, SIS, R, W. We also talk about MATLAB, and there are many others, a host of softwares, StatCrunch for that matter. So we apply research methodology in different domains, in business, in social sciences, in health management, in healthcare, in a lot of other interdisciplinary areas and cross-disciplinary areas. So we have various online research methods. So the art of writing a research paper, the most important art is to do the mastery over all these aspects so that the quality of the research paper becomes acceptable, presentable, and it becomes quotable time and again. So that's what we call about the citation increases. So the most important aspect of writing a good research paper is to write it in such a way that the readers like it, the readers like the research findings, and the readers find it impressive enough to quote it again and again in their research papers, in their literature review. So the art of writing a good research paper is to focus on finding the right topic, conducting extensive literature review and literature survey, finding and evolving the hypothesis, testing the hypothesis after having defined the research methodology in a professional manner, using the latest statistical softwares and adopting the latest statistical tools and techniques, and to give the research findings in a professional way so that the researchers like it, the readers like it, and the practitioners also like it. So first of all, so the art of writing a research paper has to focus on developing the science of the understanding of the various intricate aspects. So we have different online research methods, and we have to focus on the data visualizations. Now, we talk about research. When we are writing research paper, we need to be very focused. What are the objectives of the research? So we'll talk about what is research. It is a focused scientific approach so that we are able to find out problems and solutions. So there are some research aimed at finding the problems. The others are aimed at finding the solutions, some of them finding both of them. So it's a systematic approach towards finding either a problem or a solution or both, so that our research findings are verifiable. The process is verifiable, as well as apart from the process is verifiable, and not just the process is verifiable, it's also important for us to understand that we have to develop new insights. And once we have developed new insights, it has to be made globally acceptable. So we need to be very, very careful about it, how we are going to conduct a research. And the major importance of conducting the research is to achieve new insights, to develop new theories, and to create new set of knowledge. And sometimes we have to generalize the principle. We have to determine relationship between two or more variables. And that is how it makes us as an academician different than rest of the world. So our research paper sometimes aims at establishing relationships, sometimes aims at showing the direction of relationships, sometimes aims at showing the strength of relationships. So it is different in different cases. So the art of writing a research paper is to develop new insights so that throughout the world, when it goes, people like it, people discuss it, and people like to conduct further research on it and quote the research findings in their research and publication. So that's how it becomes very, very important. So the art lies in terms of doing, it's like I'll talk about cooking food. We buy potatoes, we buy tomatoes and onions and prepare salad at house. But when the same is prepared by a chef of a 5-star hotel, he charges the salad in thousands, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 per plate for the salad. So the beauty lies in the presentation, and the presentation of facts, figures, findings, and recommendations. So the art of writing a world-class research paper lies in choosing the right topic, choosing the right methodology, choosing the right objectives, right hypothesis, right sampling techniques, right statistical tools, and then right statistical method of collecting the data, right methods of analysis, and last but not the least, right interpretation, and finally giving your recommendations on the basis of your research findings in a professional way so that you are able to make it a world-class research paper. And then we talk about the different types of variables. I'm sure we have different types of variables and constants. So constants are those data, like talk about 2, 7, 5, 8, 3, 9, 11. So these are constants. Variables, age is a variable, time is a variable. Somebody completed a race in 9 seconds, somebody did it in 10 seconds, somebody did it in 11 seconds, somebody did it in 12 seconds. So it's variable. So we talk about independent variables and dependent variables. Now, independent variables are such. Now, one is causal variable, one is causative. So something, let's talk about the level of rain and production in the fields. So now rain may be an independent variable, and the outcome of production in terms of the crop may be a dependent variable. So we need to really understand there are some variables which are extraneous in nature. Now, suppose a student who is studying in a room. So it is important. Suppose we take an example of what has been the impact of sleep deprivation on the performance of a student. So it may happen that if a student is deprived of sleep, his performance in the exam goes not very high, but somebody who has slept adequately, his performance is very, very good. So in such cases, we see that, okay, sleep is an independent variable and the performance in the test is a dependent variable. But we can say that there are certain extraneous variables, the temperature of the room, the humidity of the room, the emotional state of the student. So these are extraneous variables. So as a researcher, we need to understand what is the best way to understand the different types of variables, understand which are the variables to be studied in the topic of research which we have conducted, and last but not the least, collect relevant information, establish the cause and effect relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. And sometimes we have to also find the direction of relationship. If the direction of relationship is defined, normally what we, in such cases, we use advanced softwares like AMOS. AMOS helps us. It's from the SPSS family, from IBM family. AMOS is a software. Majorly, we use it for structural equation modeling. So we use it for defining the direction of relationship and the strength of relationship. So the art of writing research paper is to have an optimal blend of all these aspects drafted in such a way that we start with the introduction, we start with the abstract, we mention the keywords, we mention the other aspects pertaining to its international listing in different journals. Then we start with writing the introduction and importance of the topic. Then we start doing the literature survey. So we write about the various literature survey and literature review which we have done. Then we write the research methodology, how we conducted the research or how we are going to conduct the research if we are writing, let's say, a synopsis. So it's important, we need to understand our approaches have to be different. When we are writing a research paper, we have to be very, very focused and sometimes concise. But when we are writing a thesis, we need to be very, very elaborate. We have to mention all the finest aspects of conducting the research. And it's also important for us to mention the limitations of the research. So the art of writing a paper is slightly different than writing a thesis. When we are writing a thesis, we are very detailed in approach. But when we are writing a research paper, we are slightly concise, focused, and crisp in approach. So we need to understand the difference between the art of writing a research paper and art of writing a thesis. Thesis is considered to be a detailed write-up of your research focus on the broad topic of your doctoral research or postdoctoral research or any other interdisciplinary, intradisciplinary, transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary research. But when we are writing a research paper, the first art is to read some of the good research papers. Second art is to find out what would be a better topic for me to conduct a research. Suppose I find a brilliant research done in US. So I think let me try doing in India, whether the research findings are similar or different. So sometimes if some research has been country specific, we can do it in our own country. So that is one good idea. Second, we can do multi-country research, multi-continent research, global research, and so on and so forth. So our mind starts working when we start looking at and reading some of the best research papers in India and abroad. So it's also very important for us to understand, to practice some of the web-based surveys. I'm sure most of you, I did share it in one of my previous presentations as well. So we need to be very, very careful to learn about the various web-based surveys. Google Forms is one of the most prevalent mechanism to conduct online survey. It saves our time and we are able to collect data from all over the world. So that's something very, very important for us to understand how we are going to conduct this research. Now, it's important for us to understand that we as researchers, these are some of the major softwares which we use, and we need to be very, very professional in using. When we say professional, I would take one advanced step. We need to be proficient as well. The proficient, it helps us in our efficiency, how professionally competent we are, and how professionally we use it. That's the second level. So MS Excel, which is actually evolved to new levels because a lot of statistical tests are available there. SPSS, that's a statistical package for social sciences. SysStat, StatCrunch, MOS, SAS, R, MATLAB, and there are a few others as well. So it helps us. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So it doesn't matter which software we are using, but all the statistical tests and the results would be the same. It doesn't matter. The results normally don't vary across different softwares. So let us understand, when we are, the art of writing research paper also requires a beautiful understanding and presentation of primary and secondary data. So let's have an understanding. Primary data is one which we are collecting directly from the observations or from interviews, open-ended questions, or maybe from some movie recordings or some think aloud test. Now, secondary data, it can be from different documents, maybe certain reports, certain notes given by certain authors, maybe in form of some letters, some research findings, some working papers, some thesis, doctoral or postdoctoral, or some summer internship project report, some artifacts which can be interpreted, some articles, pictures which can be interpreted, and so on. So secondary data is something, the data is already existing. All that which we need to do is to analyze the already available data and give our research findings. But when we talk about primary data, we have to collect the data from the respondents or from the other stakeholders of the economy. So it's important for us to really understand the focus of collecting data and cleaning the data. Now, when we say data cleaning, it's important for us to understand. Now, there are some mechanisms. When we collect the data, we require least degree of cleaning. Now, suppose in an online form, if we write just gender and give a text box. So if we give just a text box, somebody will write boy, somebody will write man, somebody will write masculine. So at times when you have to do the final analysis, you have to start doing cleaning and something of the like. But if you have given a radio button, one is male, one is female, third is transgender. So you get absolutely crystal data, no need of cleaning. You get perfect data altogether. So it's important to focus on asking close-ended questions more rather than asking open-ended questions. So when we are collecting primary data from the researchers, it's important for us to understand what is the best way to structure a questionnaire or a survey before we administer. So the art of writing a good research paper also requires the art of designing a good questionnaire in such a way that we get perfectly clean data, so that we don't require any cleaning. We get picture perfect data, we do picture perfect data analysis, and all that we need to do is to write our research output in such a professional way that the entire world likes it. So there lies the beauty. So the art of writing research paper requires the art of all the understanding, art and science of understanding and applying them. So having the right set of knowledge, skills, and competencies of all these aspects, it helps us in writing a world-class research paper. So we have qualitative data or quantitative data. So let's talk about quantitative data. If somebody asks by age, I can tell it in exact number of years. Somebody asks my body weight, I can give it in exact number of kgs or pounds for that matter. But somebody asks me about the weather. So the same weather, say I can say the weather is pretty. Somebody says it's lovely. Somebody says it's amazing. Somebody says, wow. So now qualitative data, we cannot give close-ended answer opportunities. So we have to give open-ended answer opportunities to the stakeholders. So we write about, oh, how was the lecture? Oh, it was quite boring. No, it was interesting. Oh, it was amazing. So that's how we give qualitative data. So when we ask about the responses of the researchers, it's important for us to have, we need to decide what is the topic of my research. Am I going to collect qualitative data, quantitative data, or a blend of the two? Suppose I'm talking about satisfaction analysis of the guest. Satisfaction analysis of the guest. So imagine I'm owner of a 5-star hotel, and my room occupancy rate has been falling. Maybe earlier it was 80%, gradually it has now come down to 10%. And I wish to conduct a research and find out what are the reasons why people are not coming to my hotel. So if we just collect the quantitative data on a scale of 1 to 5, rate our food quality, beverage quality, room service, well, we collect all the quantitative data and maybe we get 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, and we get quantitative analysis. Well, the overall response given is 1.2, 2.3, 3.3. If we don't collect the qualitative data, what has been the reason why they have given 1? So it's important for us to collect. So as a researcher, when we are developing the art of writing research papers, we need to develop the science of collecting the right set of data. So if it is something pertaining to the hotel, apart from the quantitative data, we also collect the qualitative data from the people coming to the hotel, so that we are able to know, well, the quality of food was horrible. The food served was cold. Maybe it was a day old. It was stinking. The room was dirty. It was not cleaned at all. The bed sheet was dirty, and so on and so forth. The room was smelling, stinking. So in that case, it's important to get qualitative data, and then we are able to find out the solutions to the problems. So this is what we talk about. So we do some online research methods and techniques. So when I will repeat this again and again, the art of writing a research paper again percolates back to conducting online research by different methods and presenting the data findings in a professional way. So we can use the online focus group, online interview, as well as sometimes we do telephonic interviews. Sometimes we do online qualitative research. We leave open-ended boxes for the respondents to write. We have a lot of softwares pertaining to online text analysis or social network analysis, how people are responding on social network. So there are advanced softwares which talk about, well, how many tweets or retweets of your specific message which you hosted on a particular social network. On Twitter, how many likes, how many dislikes, how many retweets, and so on and so forth. How many likes, how many dislikes, maybe on YouTube, on Facebook, how many likes or dislikes, and so on and so forth. So it's important for us to understand what is the main focus of our research finding, and accordingly select the right set of research methods and techniques. And then it's important for us when we are conducting online research or offline research. So in business, in the world of business, we do a lot of online research. But when we talk about the healthcare, a lot of clinical research is happening. If we have witnessed the latest corona vaccine, a lot of research has happened before we launched the corona vaccine. So conducting an online research in the world of pharmaceuticals as well as in healthcare is very, very important. So we need to understand how we are conducting online research. And then there are two possibilities: conducting online research, publishing it in a print journal, or publishing it in an online journal. So there is a new set of art which we need to understand, is to do the survey of the journals, which are the journals which have highest impact factor, and different indexes. We talk about H index and so on. So finding the best journals which are most cost effective, they're not charging exorbitantly high, and so on, and publishing our research papers either online or in a print journal. So now the question comes to me, which one is more recommended, the print journal or the online journal? Well, they both have their own set of advantages. The old generation, they have been majorly focusing on reading the print, but the younger generation has been liking more of online publications, e-books, e-journals, online journals, and so on. So I would not be giving a categorical answer which one is more effective or more liked or more trending today. But yes, it's important. Either we conduct online research and publish in the print, or conduct online research and publish it online as well. So the art of publishing research papers requires understanding of the online research and publishing it in an offline way as well. Now we have to, well, I'm sure I told you that if we are giving too many open-ended questions, we'll have to do more of qualitative analysis, and we may not have a lot of quantitative research findings. So we have to give major time for the respondents to respond, and we have to keep the survey precise. Last but not the least, we have to keep the language self-explanatory, and the respondents should be able to have a clear understanding of how we are going to respond to a particular question. Now, the advantage is when we are conducting global research, it's important for us to understand that in our research paper, if we have conducted global research, maybe of over, let's say 180 countries, and we have made a cross-country analysis, inter-country comparisons of the continent, it becomes really very, very appreciable research paper. We have to also focus on conducting our research in the shortest possible time. We don't have years to write a research paper. So there are a lot of accountabilities. We have to focus on publication, because in the era of accreditation in India and abroad, the accountability on the academicians is very, very high to publish in the noted or the leading research journals. So centralized accumulation of facts and figures, and focusing on using the best tool for collecting the information. So sometimes we can do the online survey by using QR codes, emails, survey links, or we can integrate them also in our website. So art of writing a research paper requires art of having a strong professionalism in conducting online research and conducting online data analysis using software like StatCrunch, or we can do it offline also on our own laptops by using other related softwares. So there are mechanisms: online collection of data, online data analysis using StatCrunch, or doing data analysis in your system and publishing it offline. So we need to understand all these arts with a focus and commitment that my research paper looks most readable, most acceptable, and most quoted, most cited in different research papers in India and abroad. So that is the secret. First secret, to make it good enough to be able to be published in the world-class ADCB journals. Second focus is to make it error-free. Third focus is to use the best or the most suitable research methodology. Fourth is to focus on giving the best solution to the most plausible problems. And last but not the least, to make sure the entire content is error-free, free from plagiarism, with plagiarism report, and getting it published in the research papers by ensuring its total and stricto sensu compliance to the guidelines given by the editor. So the art of writing research paper is to focus on understanding the guidelines in such a way that we have understood all the guidelines of the editor, and not just that, we are able to comply with them as well. So important to understand that, okay, these are the guidelines of the editor or the publisher, and we are able to find out how we are going to go ahead with this. I'll reshare the slide once again because it wasn't moving forward. And okay, so we talk about the online research methods. We can be doing quantitative or qualitative research. And in such scenarios, the researchers ask which one is more recommended, quantitative research or qualitative research? Well, it all depends on the type of the topic which we are choosing. So if we want to make our paper more acceptable internationally, well, if it is empirical research paper, its acceptability is definitely high depending on the topic. But in some research findings, it's highly recommended we talk about only qualitative research and not the quantitative research. So let's understand the difference between the two. When we talk about quantitative, it focuses on the quantity of the responses. Most of the answers denote quantity in terms of length, size, age, weight, and so on. So the quality of individual responses is secondary to the number of respondents. So it's important for us to understand when we are doing quantitative analysis, the quality of individual response is secondary to the number of respondents. But when we are doing qualitative analysis, it's important number of respondents is secondary to the quality of individual responses. So let us try and understand. In quantitative research, the number of respondents is more important than the quality of individual responses. Vice versa, in qualitative, the number of respondents is secondary, but the quality of individual responses is more important. So in qualitative research findings, there is more focus on the quality of responses, and there is no set minimum for number of participants. But in case of quantitative research, we need to talk about, we should have at least a minimum sample size of more than 30 so that we are able to get better representation of the entire population. So in quantitative research, we can do both primary and secondary research. But in case of qualitative, please understand, it's always highly recommended to always conduct primary research. So when we talk about qualitative research, now I meet 10 guests and I ask, how was the tea? Well, the tea was okay. The tea was amazingly tasty. The tea was having more sugar. So I get qualitative answer, and it has to be primary research. But the quantitative research can be both primary or secondary, but qualitative research has to be primary. So when we talk about art of writing a good research paper, we need to be finding the right way of defining the research problem. And the best way is to keep it sweet, short, and simple. It's not highly recommended to focus on writing flamboyant words. No, simple words, understandable. But yes, in terms of the technical words of different domain we have to use, we cannot simplify the specific technical terms of a particular subject, but it's always recommended to define the research problem in a meaningful way so that we are going to find the answers to the questions in the shortest possible time, in the best possible way. And it is important to focus on bridging the knowledge gap where we stand today and where we wish to reach. So the aim of our research, writing the research paper, is to bridge the knowledge gap between where we stand today and where we wish to reach, to solve a current problem or to solve a potential problem. So we may expect a potential problem to arise in the times to come. So in that case, we have to focus on defining the research problem in such a way that, well, currently this is the research problem, but in the times to come, there might be an advanced level of this problem. So it's important for us to understand. So when we are writing a good quality research paper, we need to formulate our research problem in a very professional way. So I will now summarize it because I really liked the topic given by Modi sir, who said art of writing research paper. So the art of writing research paper is to focus on developing the science and understanding of all the allied sciences and applying it in the process of writing. So there lies the art. Introduce the importance of the topic. It's very important to focus on why this research paper has been written. So if you're able to put it in 3-4 sentences, it's amazing. So if you are able to convince the reader that, well, this is the importance of the topic and that's why I have done this research, your job is amazingly done. You're already done and you're able to generate the interest of the reader, and the reader goes through your entire research paper in one go. So, and then position the problem in the appropriate context. Now, if we are talking about impact of corona vaccine on health and immunity of the patients. So if we do a cross-sectional study or let's say a longitudinal study of the new vaccine which has come. Now, how it is impacting the immunity of a particular individual or a set of individuals in a particular city. And let's say we can do cross-vaccine impact. Now, we use two set of vaccines, one the Indian made and one the foreign made. And we can see we apply it from two people, healthy people from the same domain, and we wish to see how it's impacting the immunity and the health of the person. So it's important to provide a framework to analyze and report the results. So if we are able to set the context right, set the dimensions right, set the overall broad context, the geographical boundary, it's very important. So when we are defining the problem, we need to be specific, time bound, and last but not the least, we need to be setting the clear context that it is in this context we are going to conduct this research. So the art of writing a good research paper lies in focusing on the following aspects of ensuring compliance to the research problem. So what are the current needs? What are the issues? What are the concerns? I'll take the specific example of corona vaccine which has come. Now, if I set my research problem is impact of administration of corona vaccine on patients. Now, is the immunity increasing, decreasing, remaining constant? And what was the level of antibodies before administration of the vaccine, after administration of the vaccine? What has been the quality of sleep of the patient before vaccine, after vaccine? What has been the impact of impact of the vaccine on blood pressure, impact of vaccine on the blood sugar level of the body, and so on and so. What has been the impact on the mood and temperament of the patient? So it's important for us to understand. So characteristic of the research problem, if we are able to define the problem in a logical and clear manner, we have become successful in conducting the research. Now, what is the evidence? What are the actual facts? What are the evidence? And what are the various research problems which your research paper is going to generate? Because sometimes when we conduct a research, it opens new vistas of research for others. So research paper is not just finding all solutions to a problem, but solving a problem and opening a window for creating solution to many new problems. So the beauty of writing and developing the art of research paper is such that we may solve one problem, but we open a window for others to start thinking about many others. And there lies the beauty. Second, it's important for us to focus and complete our research within the time-bound manner and within our financial allocation of resources, whether or not we are going to get the required set of data and so on and so forth, and whether the problem which we have thought to conduct research is new, existing, psychological, or a potential problem for the times to come. So we may understand the characteristics of the research problem and document it. So when the readers understand, they can see that, okay, fine, we can use this research finding in our day-to-day life. The practitioners would like to use it in a different way. The researchers would like to use it in a different way. And the academicians or teachers would like to use it in a different way. So we need to have three perspectives when we are solving a particular research problem and reporting it. The perspective of the practitioner, perspective of the researcher, perspective of the student, teacher, practitioner, and last is the researcher. How a researcher would look at it, how a teacher would look at it, how a student would look at it, and how a practitioner would look at it. So we have different kinds of. Now we talk about research. Now, research, we are collecting data in different organizations. I'll talk about teaching learning effectiveness. Internationally, we have the culture of assessing teaching learning and effectiveness. We also talk about analyzing the trends. What have been the pass out rate? Out of every 60 students, how many students finished successfully? We also conduct research pertaining to assessment and evaluation. Now, suppose there is an objective test. So out of objective test, we conduct different kind of analysis. The first one is difficulty level. So we do the difficulty level analysis of the questions. Out of 100 questions, maybe question number 1 has been attempted by all, and all of them have been found it right. That means question number 1, it was attempted by all the students and all of them got it right. So this was the only question which was attempted by all the students and all of them got it right. Now maybe question number 1, it was attempted by 95% of the students and of them 80% could get it right. So we do a research on what has been the difficulty level of the question, and more so, we also try to find out different statistical analysis pertaining to assessment and evaluation. We calculate difficulty index, we calculate point biserial coefficient, and other different statistical tests pertaining to the process of effectiveness of assessment and evaluation. So institutional research, we have different information requirements. Now in an organization, if a student wants to know what was the cutoff in the last year, suppose a university like Delhi University, last year cutoff in economics was 80% or 90% for that matter. So a student would like to have the information, what was the cutoff of the last admission last year. So institutional research wants to conduct research on various internal data and give the research findings to the external stakeholders like the students and academicians, so that they find it easier to make their informed choice between admission pertaining to different programs. So we have to collect the data, analyze them, interpret them, and report the information to various stakeholders. So when we talk about art of writing research papers, we may take topic of different areas. Now it may be, the topic may be pertaining to India or abroad, it may be pertaining to academics, it may be pertaining to the scientific information, and so on and so forth. So you have to take a call as to what are the different sets of data which we are going to collect and how are we going to present the data. Now let's take an example. Suppose I wish to see that what was the percentage. Let's take the engineering program. A student who got 80% in 10+2, when he passed out of engineering, what was his passing percentage? And what were the percentage of his marks obtained in different semesters? And if we wish to see how effective the mentoring has been, so we get two sets of students. Let's do a cross-sectional analysis, or let's say we do comparative analysis between students from engineering, let's say computer science and mechanical engineering. A set of computer science students, they were mentored by their teachers every week. So their academic performance was different in comparison to mechanical engineering students who were not mentored by their teachers. So if we do comparative analysis of students in their academic performance, so impact of mentoring on students in their academic performance. So if the students who were mentored every week, their academic performance was much better in comparison to the students who were not. So it's important for us as academicians to understand all the finer aspects of writing the research paper. So it's important for us to understand, do an extensive research on the internet, journals, e-journals, e-books. Particularly, we can read a lot of books on Google Books, books.google.com. You can go to books.google.com and do an extensive reading, and that will help us in a great way. Now we'll also talk about institutional effectiveness. Now we'll talk about Power BI. Well, business intelligence has been a deep science. Now, not many researchers are able to leverage because we use what we know. So the art of writing research paper has an underlying science to know more and more about the latest trends. So I would invite all of you to come and use Power BI. BI stands for Business Intelligence. This is a tool by Microsoft which helps us in doing data visualization. And we have different types of apps there. Apps, let's talk about one app, let's say Google Analytics. So now, if we are doing a research pertaining to various websites, what has been visitors from different parts of India and abroad, and so on and so forth. So we can use an app called GA by Kerbal. GA stands for Google Analytics. Now, let's understand which are the most important search terms. Suppose I'm a businessman and I want to prepare some new products. So I wish to see on my website what are the most sought after keywords in the search box of my website. So now some of the business houses, they put a search box. Now suppose I am manufacturing motorcycles. So the maximum search is 100cc bikes. So my focus of manufacturing would be high for those set of bikes for which the customers have been searching the most. So it's important for us to understand why we are conducting such focused research. So Google Analytics helps us in analyzing which are the keywords most sought after, from which state we are getting maximum number of customers. So we can do the cultural background, demographic analysis of the customers and so on and so forth. Then where did they land up after search? Maybe I'll give you an example. The biggest challenge in the current scenario, especially for the private institutions and universities, is admissions. So I'll give you a small example so that we can understand and how we can apply it in different research papers and publish it so that it becomes more acceptable. Now, if we take an example of the students, they majorly are looking for scholarships. The keyword which they are searching for is scholarships, discounts, and related aspects. So 3 keywords: the scholarships, discounts, and student loans, bank loans, educational loans. So if a student has been searching for these words, they would land up on the page which talks about scholarships. So we have to find out where the student has landed and so on and so forth. So we need to understand if we are able to conduct Google Advanced Search, if you're able to conduct Google Analytics. So I'll give you a small example how to implement Google Analytics for all the researchers. I'm sure we have every institution and university has a website of its own. So we can ask the website administrator to implement Google Analytics, and it's a very simple step. We can go to google.com, put a / google.com/analytics. We can log in using our Google ID, and we put in, once we have logged in, we can put the website of our institution, especially our institution or university, and Google generates a small script, maybe of, let's say, 5-6 lines. And that script is to be pasted on all the pages of our institution or university. And then we can analyze the research, we can analyze the data coming from Google in different forms. Where the students are coming from, which city they are searching the most, at what time they are searching, and so on. What is the browser they are using? Are they using more of laptops or they are using more of mobiles, and so on and so forth. Which are the keywords they are using, searching for most? What is the average time spent, and so on? What is the bounce rate? Bounce rate is how soon they are leaving the website, and so on. And how many number of pages they are visiting. So if the website has a strong and rich content, the number of visits and the number of pages they visit is slightly higher than in case when the content is not very rich on the website. So let us understand how to use the different. So when we go to Microsoft Power BI, we can download various apps and start understanding the data collected and conduct the. So it's very simple. We can install the BI apps and we can use them in different way. We can also create those apps. Now we'll talk about what is the difference between the static data and dynamic data. Now we'll talk about, we can conduct research with static data and research with dynamic data. Now let me give you an example. Well, if I do a research of the preferences of tourists in India visiting different tourist cities and tourist locations. So I may collect the data of the tourists of last 5 years and conduct a comparative analysis of different states. Which are the states which have been able to attract more number of tourists in their states, and which are the tourist destinations which have been able to attract more number of tourists in their city. So now, once we are able to understand this, so for this, we require a static data, a historical data of the previous years. But when we look at the dynamic data, it's important for us to understand. Now, suppose I'm conducting risk, or let's say I am conducting portfolio analysis. I have two funds, or let's say two portfolios, and I wish to see what has been their comparative performance. So if I want to see, there are two companies in India. One is an Indian company, which is a mutual fund company, and there is another multinational mutual fund company. So I have the data of their companies, and I can see live data today, what has been their comparative performance on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So I get the live data of Mumbai Stock Exchange, and both the data are coming in my Excel sheet or in my spreadsheet, and I can see how the trend has been varying. If the Sensex has been changing, my research findings also change on a real-time basis. So it's important for us to understand the dynamic set of data. And in current times, when we say the art of writing research papers, the art of writing research papers is important if we are able to focus on conducting research with dynamic data is much more acceptable, much more liked, and much more cited in comparison to the static data. However, dynamic data is not always recommended for all types of problems, for all types of domains. But yes, certainly we talk about that in current situations. Let's talk about the COVID. I'm sure when people were doing the testing of the vaccines, it was done on a dynamic basis. Fine. This is test number 1, test number 2, test number 3 on different set of patients. And they gave their research recommendations. And finally, all the clinical researches were done after doing the clinical trials. And after doing all the statistical analysis, they found that yes, this is the vaccine which is giving the desired set of results and is likely to strengthen the immunity of the patient in such a way that he or she will develop the right level of immunity, right level of antibodies within the body, and can sustain and can battle the war of corona. So that's something which is important. So I would recommend all the researchers to learn more and more about conducting research pertaining to dynamic data, and you can use Power BI. We have also mechanisms to embed the script given by SPSS. Some of the softwares, they share their script and we can embed them in our website and link it with some external sources so that we get some dynamic research findings. So it's important for us to understand about research methodology, research tools, the statistical tools and techniques. Also, if we are able to learn a bit about programming, it's a great help. So it depends on our taste and preferences, but it's a very complex phenomena. I would not invite all of you unless you have an inner passion towards technology and programming and website, web designing, web programming. But it's important for us to also focus on dynamic data in current situations. So now we'll also talk about the various aspects. Now today, I think I would like to interact more with my set of the participants, because I was requested that I should have at least 15-20 minutes with my researchers and the academicians community to talk about the various questions and the thought processes in the mind. So with these words, I would summarize my discussion for the day, and I would invite the questions. May I please request Modi ji to ask the
Thank you, sir.
researchers and practitioners to send you in text box, and you can announce it to me. Over to you, sir.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. What can I say about Professor Rana, sir? every time when I listen to Professor Rana sir, I learn so many new things about the research. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, sir. And the chats which we are receiving in the chat box itself says how much the participants are so much happy and they have enjoyed your presentation and learned so many things. And I know they have some queries in their mind. So
You
participants,
can share the query, sir.
yeah, the floor is open for queries. So you can ask your question with your introduction. You can open your mic and you can ask. So please, you can ask. Yeah.
Hello.
Sir, this is Ram. Can you please share the slide on surveys? So surveys sources you have shown. So can you please show again the surveys page? Thanks.
Sources.
Surveys, Survey Monkey, Google survey.
Oh, yes. I was slightly very fast when I was. Yes, this was the slide. Yes, please. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Survey Monkey.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thank you.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
You can use any one of them. Most of them have common features. All that you need to do is to put your questions, make text box, make radio buttons, make close-ended questions, open-ended questions, and so on and so forth. So it makes your life a lot easier in comparison to the traditional research. Let me give you one of my research experiences. I came to New Delhi and I was doing my research at National Council of Applied Economic Research as my postgraduate research internship. And to collect the data, I had to go to Delhi Stock Exchange, pick up all the papers of the last 5 years and type all the data and then do the analysis on MS Excel. So it was a Herculean experience. Nowadays, the young generation gets the entire set of data from Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, Dow Jones, New York Stock Exchange on a real-time basis and can do the research. So the times have changed. The technologies have changed. Information systems have changed. So we need to, feel blessed. At least I have seen those eras wherein I had to go through all the newspapers, type all the data and conduct the trend analysis. Now all the data is available in online mode. So we can do research faster, more meaningful, more professional, and give deep insights about the research findings and recommendations. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello. Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, my question is, can we use research problem, generate and encourage research question? Can you elaborate with the example, sir? It will be more helpful to me.
Come again, please. Could you just...
Research problem, generate and encourage research question. Can you give with the example? It will be helpful to me.
Okay. Now, when we talk about research problems and research questions, now, if I'm talking about the research problem being effectiveness of COVID vaccine drug. Now, when we are talking about effectiveness of COVID vaccine drug, right? So now we talk about two sets of data, qualitative and quantitative. Now, the quantitative data would come in terms of the temperature, blood pressure. I'll repeat once again. So now when we are looking at the efficacy of the drug, so there would be two aspects to the same. First, the empirical data coming from the patients, wherein we measure the temperature of the body. We also measure the blood pressure, blood sugar, the hunger and the thirst level, and so on. And various other vital aspects of blood, means finer details about the blood and the urine and the stool and so on. But when we come to the questions, we ask, how are you feeling? How is your mood? Is there an impact on your mood? Are you feeling better? Are you feeling stressed? And so on. So when we define a particular research problem, we need to understand, are we going to collect online data or offline data? Are we going to collect qualitative data or quantitative data? Now, if we are going to collect qualitative data, what are the different aspects of quality which we would look at, and so on and so forth. So we really need to understand how similar research has been done by the previous researchers, and what is it that we can add value, how I can do it differently to make it more professional, better and brighter, and to give more acceptable and more promising recommendations to the researchers community.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Sai Prasad Valela ji, please ask. You have raised the hand. Dr. Sai Prasad Valela. Is there anybody else who wants to ask?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is Ram again. This is Ram again. So someone asked earlier on the chat box, so the same question. So is the weightage concern? So the UGC in terms of UGC. So is it equal online publication and hard copy publications?
I think what I would personally suggest is to focus on the quality of the research paper more, or rather than focusing on where it gets published. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Well, if
Yes, sir.
the quality of the research paper is amazing,
Yes,
it
sir.
doesn't matter whether it is offline or online. Am I clear what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure, sir. But as far as UGC is concerned, so is it equal? Means UGC has it approved online publications also as equal as offline publications?
Well, as of now, what I would personally give you a very generic answer to it, that please focus on the enhancing the quality. Second, I'll be giving you specific answer. Very recently, I may meet honorable chairman in one of the meetings which we have on various contemporary issues. So I'll be able to give you a specific answer through Mr. Ravi Modi ji. Because as of now, we do not have a specific measure to balance the overall effectiveness. And it is, see, I'll tell you, we have international journals which are in offline mode, online mode, and some of them are in both the modes, hybrid mode.
Online modes are applicable, sir.
Yes, so a specific answer will come to you through Ravi Modi ji in the time to
Sure,
come.
sir. Sure, sir.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Dr. Sai Prashant from Visakhapatnam.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, to what extent we can depend on secondary data? Is it necessary that the entire article should be on primary data?
Well, it altogether depends on the context and the topic. If the topic is economic analysis or comparative analysis of the Indian states, it can be 100% secondary data. But if it is comparative analysis of automobile customers across different states, it has to be primary data. So it is altogether dependent on your topic, its focus area, its context, and its the dimensions and perspectives which you are going to look at in the research.
Yes,
But
sir.
internationally as well as nationally, the empirical research is considered to be relatively much more acceptable, much more liked by the researchers in India and abroad, because of the fact it has taken a large set of, let's say a representative set of customers or stakeholders and taken their first-hand feedback and given generalized recommendations. So the set of empirical research is always better than the secondary research. But in areas where you cannot do empirical research, in that cases you are left with no choice but than doing the secondary research.
Okay. So one last query I have, because I'm focusing on retail trade versus a comparison of retail trade versus online trade, online marketing. Because of this COVID situation, even like examples like Big Basket, everything, what you say, Urban Club, they have promoted everything through ads only.
Yes.
Yes. So now retail marketing, where people need to go and select their item product, they can do everything in the online and the product is delivered to home.
Well, I think this is something which is very, very here in such cases. Let me tell you, if you really want to conduct a research, well, the companies may not give you the data of their customers. So you have to direct. Well, it is important agenda. Let me tell you, the COVID and post-COVID scenario has given a very big set of challenges. Well, now people are really afraid to go and even pick up a product from their own hands. So forget about it's going to become more and more online market rather than the offline market. So it's highly recommended to really conduct the psychodynamic analysis of the customers. What would they like to prefer, online or offline? But the COVID scenario, I have particularly witnessed because I have been going to the retail, the kirana shop, the grocery shop, and this guy was telling, I am really very, very hurt because entire supply is coming from Grofer or other online channels, Big Basket and so on. So people have suffered a lot. So online market has grown exponentially because of the minimal risk. They have been giving a lot of discounts, and they are getting a lot of bulk purchase advantages to their aspect. So what I would recommend is, in such cases, we should have an optimal blend of both empirical research as well as the secondary research. Secondary research, you can see to what extent the companies have reported their data, sales through online mode and sales through physical stores mode. So now let's talk about Tata Click and Tata Chroma. Tata Chroma had been selling the retail products through its various retail apps, and they started Tata Click and they started selling. So sometimes they have some cross selling as well. Earlier, the person who was going to Tata Chroma store, now they have started buying online. So we call it as cannibalization in terms of marketing. So they want to analyze whether our market size has increased or the customer has cannibalized. The guy who was buying it from the retail store has started buying online. So there are multiple scopes of conducting research as to. So here again, we'll have the blend of both qualitative as well as quantitative research. What has been the overall experience of the customer? Well, it says, fine, it's amazing. I take my coffee at home and I order everything in 5 minutes, it's done. Otherwise, I have to travel 1 hour or half an hour one way, half an hour, or let's say 15 minutes shopping, half an hour in the traffic. So earlier, what I used to do in a couple of hours, I'm able to do in a couple of minutes or maybe in 10 minutes. Is able to economize in terms of his time spent. So it has to be a blend of the two research, both online as well as, qualitative analysis as well as the quantitative analysis. How would he rate his experience? What has been the cost savings as well as what has been his overall experience?
Thank you. I think
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening. This is Neha Tiwari. Sir, my question to you is with the increasing trend in or the importance given to these scopus journal, I just wanted to know what are the factors which these journals actually considered as important while selecting the research papers. What are the key points which they actually considered as important and the factors on which they are actually selecting these research papers?
Amazing. And this is the question which I was expecting. And thank you very much for raising. This is the pertinent question. And that is what throughout the session, whatever I was discussing is what they are looking for. So it's like, is the topic relevant and contemporary? Is the problem reasonable? Is it worth solving? Has the research paper done adequate amount of literature survey? Has it quoted the research findings in the best possible way? Has it adopted the right research methodology? Has it written the hypothesis in the best professional way, in scientific way? Has the right research methodology been used and documented? Has the right statistical test been used or documented? Have the data analysis been done by using the softwares in the correct way? Has the data finding explained in the correct way and the recommendations are specifically based on the data and research findings? And last but not the least, what has been the research recommendations by the researcher? So, and what has been the overall quality of documentation? What has been the level of plagiarism, and so on and so forth? And what is the overall readability, understanding, and acceptability by the researchers community? So at times it is, that's why it goes, there is a term, I'm sure all of you have been listening. We call it as peer-reviewed journals, right? And refereed journals. So peer-reviewed journals, your research paper is being sent to other peers like you, and they send their recommendations. But when we say it's a refereed journals, your research paper is sent to a referee, and this referee happens to be a renowned global academician in your domain. And this gentleman or this professor, he gives his comments, and it is a blind referee. That means you would not know who's the referee, and the referee would not know who's the author, and he would give his or her expert comments that, well, this research is good, well, these are the shortcomings, maybe the researcher has not used the right set of statistical tools, this needs to be done. Well, he has done the right set of statistical analysis, but the recommendations are not concomitant to the research findings, and so on. So we need to have a strong and perfect balance of right topic, right introduction, right importance, right abstract, and right research methodology, right statistical tools and techniques, right collection of data, defining the data in the right way, analyzing the data, giving the research findings, and last but not the least, giving the right set of research recommendations. So all of them, and more importantly, when the referee is sending you the comments and the feedback, you are solving it, and it normally takes 2-3 interactions, at least 2 to 3 times. Off and on, the mails keep coming, they give you, these are the recommendations, please incorporate it and send it. So it is being refereed by some of the best academicians of the world, and they focus on making the research paper truly perfect from all dimensions and perspectives, so that it gets maximum citations and maximum acceptability. I hope I could address your question.
Yes, sir. Perfectly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Good evening, sir. Can I ask my question?
Yes, Lynette, please, I request you to, it is mandatory to ask question with your videos on. Please kindly keep your video on when you ask your questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, can I ask my question now? Am I
Yes.
visible?
Yeah, may I ask the question?
Ashlesha ji, please ask.
Good evening, sir. I am Ashlesha Deshpande from Pune, Maharashtra. I am a fresher in this field and very new to this. And considering that your lecture was very informative and motivating at the same time, my question is, when while giving the lecture, you said that there is a difference between writing thesis and research paper.
Yes.
So you said that research paper is more concise, crisp, and focused. So, considering this, while writing a research paper, how should we strike a balance between collecting the primary data for the purpose and then relying on the secondary data?
Sorry. First of all, my congratulations to you for listening to the lecture so meticulously.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. So the first aspect is, when we say we have to be concise, well, normally the thesis is 250 to 300 pages or 400 pages at times, sometimes 500 as well. But when you're writing research paper, it is normally 5 to 10 pages, 20 pages, a max of 30 pages in any case. So when you have a limitation of number of words, let's say 300 words, 3,000 words, 4,000 words, or 2,500 words. So we need to allocate the number of words to each section: importance, research methodology, research findings, and so on. So when I say we have to be crisp and to the point, it's like the finer detailing may not be possible in the research papers. However, in the research thesis, you can definitely go to all the finer aspects of your research, do the minutest level of detailing. So that's something which I wanted to differentiate. Am I clear, Ashlesha?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hello.
Yes.
So this is Dr. Lynette Cristelda. I'm from Chennai. My doubt is, sir, I already have some 10 papers in my but then none of that is being cited on the Google Scholar. So what do I do? Or no, I don't know how to make people see at my own papers, for the simple reason that is all those papers are not online. So
Okay.
how do we increase the number of people who view or cite my paper?
Okay, I'll come to it. The first thing which you can do is you can go to blogger.com. You can go
Okay.
to blogger.com and publish all your papers on blogger.com. So this is the first thing you can do.
Okay.
Second, is it simple? blogger.com. You can go to blogger.com and publish all your research papers there.
Okay.
That's number one.
Publish in the sense that already I have published, I should republish it. Is that what you are trying to tell?
You have the Word file of your research paper. You have the Word file of your research paper, copy and paste it.
Yes.
And you can mention this was published in such and such research journal.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you can go to blogger.com, publish it on blogger.com.
Okay.
And you can put this fact that this research paper was published in such and such research journal in this volume, this issue. And you can mention that this is first part of it. Second part of it, you can create a website of your own and put all your research papers in searchable PDF format. You can convert your research paper in form of PDF and publish it on your website. This is second. Third, you can request the journal which you have in which you have published your paper to put the old research, the research papers published in the online mode. So if they are able to do it, it would be fine. So these are the 2-3 recommendations for you for the time being.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot.
And also,
Yes,
I have written few chapters in the books. So can that also be converted into the blogger?
No, that would have copyright issues of the publisher. What you can do is you can request the publisher to put some snapshot on books.google.com.
Okay.
You can request the publisher to put it on books. So some portion remains listed on books.google.com. So that can be one possibility.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I also wanted to ask you, sir, about the Google Scholar.
Yes,
yes. I think, is there any other query they can ask?
I think there is 1 or 2 more questions probably. There's one from Nilofer Ara. She says, sir, if we made a digital survey, can we transfer our data into our paper with using SPSS? Yes, we can. Actually, when we collect the online data from the digital survey, we can put it in any of the statistical softwares or the spreadsheet softwares. So that is something which is very, very easy and possible. We copy and paste and it can go in any spreadsheet software, SPSS, Excel, Systat, SAS, any of them. So yes, it is possible. Nilofer has asked this question. Dr. Lata says it was nice and informative. Let me see if there is any other question left. Mr. Ravi ji, if you could, Dr. Ravi, if you could see this. I think it's already solved all of them.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you so very much.
Thanks to you, sir. And
yes, thank you for this opportunity and thank you for organizing such a wonderful, event every time to give the researchers new set of directions to make them ready to publish global research papers to make India world's strongest research hub. So I really thank you and congratulate you on the mission to make India world's strongest and largest research hub of the world. Thank you so much.
Before inviting Professor Mehta, sir, for the formal vote of thanks, I would like to welcome Professor Malyadri, sir, also. He is also with us in the meeting whose session will be tomorrow on the report writing skills for thesis and research projects.
Dr. Ravi, I'll intervene for a moment. I could find Anupama Shukla's question, how can we use secondary data for qualitative research? I think the slide was very specific that in case of qualitative research, we have to take primary data. So we normally do not do qualitative research with secondary data. So that was it. I think you can invite now, sir. Malyadri, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Professor Mehta, sir, to give formal vote of thanks. Professor Mehta, sir, Vice President of Inspira Research Association. Mehta, sir.
Indeed, it was a very informative and very interesting session. And certainly, not only you have shared a lot of inputs which were required to be discussed in this session, but this first day session of yours have certainly motivated participants to further contribute lot many research papers on the basis of the guidelines that you have provided. Many of the aspects that you have discussed, I'm quite sure that in next 6 days, our resource persons will be covering at length regarding the analysis or hypothesis writing or using of various tools. So indeed, it was a wonderful session, and on behalf of Inspira, on behalf of all the participants, I am grateful to you for sparing so much of time. I know your commitments and busyness with your university and other institutes, but in spite of that, you have spared so much of time for Inspira and for the participants. So I am highly thankful to you for that. Thank you very much, sir. And I'm also thankful to all the participants who have raised the queries, and the other participants also who have very carefully attended this session. And I'm quite sure that in the successive sessions, you will get all your queries resolved. So ask as many questions as you find appropriate. And I'm thankful to Professor Malyadri also for joining today. And today his session is there. So thank you, Professor Malyadri. And thank you all the participants for your presence in this virtual workshop. Thank you very much. And last and not least, I am thankful to our young Secretary General, Dr. Ravi Modi, who always conduct the session with full of enthusiasm and zeal. In fact, entire credit goes to Dr. Ravi Modi for organizing all these programs and really working so hard. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for that. Once again, thank you.
Sir, I am only handling technical things. Entire credit goes to you, sir, because with your blessings, I am doing all this. And thank you so much once again, Professor Rana Singh. Rana, sir, thank you so much. And thanks to all the participants. And tomorrow we will meet at the same time on the topic report writing skills for thesis and research projects, which will be taken by Professor Malyadri. And meanwhile, while you are learning these sessions, you can write one paper, as you know, for the edited books which we are going to publish. Any book you can publish your paper.
Please request all the participants to show their videos so that we can have a group.
Yeah, can you please start your video so that we can take some screenshots? We will post these screenshots in our Inspira page also on Facebook. So you will be also
yeah.
Your pic will be also be showed.
Dr. Ravi, take the shot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rana sir. Thank you so much, Mehta
Thanks
sir.
a lot. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Participants, good night.